so you're just going to cut. You're just going to start.
I can cut. We can do whatever.
Well, I don't want this to be on the show.
Good evening from St. Louis. My name is Wyatt Wheeler.
I'm Alec and Wyatt.
This is Alec and Wyatt Weekly, kind of a special edition, so welcome to the show. We are sitting here after the game, after Missouri State's big win over Northern Iowa. And, wow, they won.
Yeah, to say that was a little bit shocking would be an understatement. Obviously, we knew Missouri State had a chance, but with such a close game and, down the stretch, the Bears didn't score in the last 4 minutes from the field, only hitting free throws, 11 of 12 to end the game. I would say that I was surprised, and I think most of the people in the building were probably surprised too.
I think it was pretty weird how I looked at you during the game right after we went on pregame stuff and said, we think Missouri State's going to win this game.
Yeah.
And still, I'm looking at you during the game with it almost over saying, wow, Missouri State's about to win.
I think it was how they won that was really impressive because obviously Daquan Miller, senior leader, didn't have the best game, but everyone else played really well. Obviously, you had Chris Kendricks off the bench, who I talked about before the game. Alizé puts up 20 and 17. Obadiah plays well. It was a team effort.
There's a lot in it that you see them not. You see the ways that they lost games during the season, whether it's the free throws and just clutch shots down the stretch. I mean, there's a turnover here and there, but Northern Iowa didn't capitalize or open threes that guys like Jeremy Morgan typically make, and he missed them.
Yeah, I know that, Coach Lusk probably wouldn't say this, but in my opinion, the only thing that hampered them from playing a perfect game was their turnovers. They had 17 turnovers, but they out-rebounded Northern Iowa offensively and defensively. I think it was 52 to 25. We out-rebounded them. We had 15 rebounds offensively. They only had 16 defensive rebounds, as in Northern Iowa, and so that was kind of a manhandling. So now the big question is, they beat Northern Iowa. Tomorrow afternoon at 5:30, they're going to take on Wichita State. We've obviously played Wichita State twice this year. Lost 80 to 62 the first game. Lost by 19 points the second game. Has something changed? Has something clicked?
You can't feel good still going into this game because Wichita State is that good. It's unfortunate they're that good, but they just are. It's something. I think the last couple games, I mean the Wichita State game, were within 4 with about 10 minutes left in the game, and they're playing as well as they have all year. And then Wichita beat them by 19 the rest of the game, but then they come out here with that same look in their eyes and just went all out and made it happen.
And for those of you who don't know, Wichita State played Bradley in the 6 o'clock game right before the Missouri State game, and
absolutely annihilated.
I would go as far as saying embarrassed Bradley.
Absolutely annihilated.
30-point game while I was stuck in the elevator. For those of you who don't know,
he was stuck in the elevator. I didn't think he would be right here now.
All we wanted to do was have a normal episode of Alec and Wyatt, but then I had to go and get stuck in an elevator. Anyway,
it's just how it happens.
We'll recap that more on Monday. But as for Wichita State, they're obviously the best team in the division, or in the conference. I know Illinois State was the one, but how much more comfortable would you feel if the Bears were playing Illinois State?
I think we would be having a conversation like, hey, they can upset them because we saw them almost do it twice this season, an overtime game and a last-second miss by Daquan Miller, last shot of the game. So you would be feeling like we could do this. That's not we, because we don't play for the team, but
okay.
But there's.
Go ahead.
I had the thought, but I lost it.
Well, my question to you is, as a coach, as a fan, don't you feel some sort of confidence that you guys that you won tonight without Daquan Miller playing? I mean, I would say, Coach Lusk said he played a great game, even though he only scored a few points. But a normal Daquan Miller game compared to this one would be not a good one.
I think it's nice to have the bad game out of the way because offensively he can't play much worse, even though he was probably a huge part of why they won tonight. The energy he brought defensively on Jeremy Morgan, plus Brian Krecklow off the bench, his energy and Jeremy Morgan, they just kind of overwhelmed him, which was a huge part. I said going in, Jeremy Morgan, you have to shut him down because it's the one who kind of went off on you the first 2 games. But you got the bad offensive game out of the way, so can't.
I think the difference is in Wichita State not having a go-to player. It's not, as so-and-so goes, Wichita State goes. They have 5 guys that can put up 15 points
about
tomorrow.
10 guys that can
Realistically,
put up 15.
yes.
So that's what scares. That's the scariest part of the whole thing. But crazier things have happened in this building in the past couple of years. Usually Northern Iowa's the team making the upset against Wichita State or anybody they play in the tournament, and Missouri State just knocked them out.
So, one thing that I liked was a former Bear coach, Barry Hinson, said after his game, SIU went ahead and beat Loyola, and they'll play Illinois State at 2:30 tomorrow. But he said after the game, if you're going to win 3 games and win this tournament, one of them will not be a good game. Technically, Daquan Miller, this could have been the bad game.
Yeah.
If they're going to beat Wichita State, they have to go out and play a great game. There's no denying that. But if Daquan Miller can go out and play well, and the Bears don't turn the ball over, I think they can play with Wichita State. Obviously, the game at home, they were there in the last 10 minutes. And although this isn't home, and Wichita State will provide more fans, the faithful obviously coming for Shocker Nation. But something about Arch Madness just has a feeling where it's like there's more hype to the game, which I think could actually help the Bears.
I think one thing you can think about right here, we thought Missouri State was the 3rd best team going into this year.
Yeah.
So if they were NCAA tournament, they were going to have to win this. Yeah. They were going to have to win here. So they were going to beat a 3. So you would think they'd beat a 3 seed. Right now, they kind of are the 3 seed. They're playing that number 2 seed, and so this is exactly what we wanted before the season. And they're in the position that a lot of us expected them to be in.
Right. I think a lot of people would have predicted that this would have been the game the Bears played in, except against Northern Iowa, the 6th seed,
or an Illinois State.
Right. And so I think that gives a little bit of comfort to the Bears. And the other thing is they have nothing to lose. They have been crushed realistically on the scoreboard by Wichita State, and no one is going to give them a chance tomorrow. I would expect them to be 10-point underdogs at least. So at that point, I think as a Bears player, you just kind of tell yourself, why not? There's nothing to lose here. If they lose, they go out and
there's not going to be another game. That's it.
Yeah.
It's Daquan Miller's last game, so he's not going to want to go out. It's a good thing he's not going out with this past game, even though how well he played defensively. You can't go without saying that, because he did play a good game still, but it just
he's still the team leader no matter what he does. And so when a team leader has a bad game offensively but plays hard, that gives the whole team just a whole different feeling. But speaking of Daquan Miller's last game, something that we've touched on numerous times today and obviously last week is the potential of this weekend being Paul Lass as the head coach. My personal opinions are that unless he beats Wichita State,
if he beats Wichita State, he stays. He's knocking off the big dog. That's it.
For those of you who don't know at home, he's never beat Wichita State.
Never beat Wichita State. The last game Missouri State beat Wichita State was that game in 2011, which gave Missouri State the conference regular season title. Quanzo, I think it's Quanzo. Quanzo leaves, and then Lusk comes in, and we haven't beat him. Missouri State hasn't beat him since.
Yeah, and this is the only time that Missouri State's been in the semifinals since 2013-14, which was the second year that Lusk was here. But obviously, we didn't play Wichita State in that sequence of events. So I think you're right. If he goes out and they beat Wichita State, I don't know how you fire him when he has Alize Johnson returning, Jared Rhodes, Jared Dixon, Obadiah
and a good class coming in too. And you don't want to scare them off by bringing in a different coach.
And that's something we've talked about before is, do you fire him anyway? And most people say yes, you absolutely do.
Underperformed, but they're in the position now
to succeed.
That we thought this is as far as we expected them to go before the season.
And if you look at this team going into next year, I would say that they're a top 2 team again. Illinois State, to me, is senior heavy.
Yep.
And although they are gaining a ton of traction and experience, I would still say that Missouri State could jump above Illinois State next year. So how do you tell your players, hey, we know you guys are building all of this, but we're going to go ahead and get rid of your head coach, bring in a new guy? What does that say to an Alize Johnson who learned basically everything he knows right now from Paul Lusk?
It's kind of a sticky situation, especially you think of all that you just said. You think of budget cuts.
Yeah.
It's a weird situation. Who's willing to pay that much money for Missouri State athletics right now?
Right.
If it was to come from private money, so it's a weird situation, but I guess we're going to see tomorrow.
Yeah.
We're 5 o'clock tomorrow. You can follow at Alec and Wyatt Alec Wyatt Weekly. You can follow Standard Sports. You can follow Real Wyatt Wheeler. You can follow Alec_McChesney. We have this covered.
Yeah, and realistically, we'll probably do a little bit of live Periscope beforehand tomorrow on either my Twitter account or his Twitter account, which you can find on, pretty much everywhere because we tweet an obnoxious amount. More than likely, I'm going to get locked in an elevator or, trapped in a bathroom or get lost in a trash can.
But we're wearing these suits. We're probably the best dressed people here. As long as we look the part, we're going to be the part.
So, we'll probably be back, but I hope you guys are too. So this is it for this edition of Alec and Wyatt Weekly.
Have a good night. Or day when you watch it, whenever you watch it.
Yeah.
Bye.